All right, well, good morning. Tamim, it's great to sit here and speak with you today. I'd love to kick this off with telling us a little bit about yourself.
For sure. The last 15 years been in technology, focusing on cloud computing. Artificial intelligence skills started popping up maybe 7, 8 years ago, and it just gravitated toward it. Worked on a major project in North America, worked with the big three tech companies. And a few years back, me and a team decided to go and start our own AI company, B2B, Hyperion Cloud AI, and I am the CEO of that company. We do business in Toronto, New York, and Dubai.
It's amazing. Congratulations. You see, you've already got a lot of engagement and you have an interesting project here to talk to us about it. So let's get started. How did this project start?
For sure. 6 months ago, I was in Dubai, I think 5 months ago, maybe. And somebody in a conference approached me, a young man approached me, and he was telling me, is AI able to imagine event? Is he able to tell a story? And this kind of grabbed my interest. And I really started thinking about, are we able to give AI instruction to tell us a story? And this is kind of the seed. I met with my team. We talked about the idea and we decided to do it as a side project. Now, this side project over the last 5 months morphed into our core work. We've been so happy to work on this. I think we're doing something very special, very new and unique. And we're really excited to kind of to talk about it for sure.
That's exciting. So, in this idea of generative AI in telling the story, what is the story of this novel and this graphic novel series that you're going to produce?
For sure. So it started by using our tool of demand forecasting. When you create an AI tool for demand forecasting, you look at the history of the forecast and you look at what future events is going to happen and you do that forecasting. And I love science fiction and I'm like, well, can we ask AI what event is going to take place in the next 20, 30, 40, 50, and 100 years? We said 100 year, we thought 100 year will be the perfect timeline. And we inputted massive amount of data about human history, encyclopedia, Wikipedia, a political event, major event in human history, political environment into the engine. And we're like, you have all this information. Can you predict the future? The engine came back with event that for anybody, some of it might look logical. Like it talked about pandemics, it talks about wars, and this exists in our world. And we took that one step further. We were like, well, can you write a story, science fiction story, based on the probabilities you think the next 100 years will be for human? The engine came back with a story in the year 2115, so almost 100 years from now, and it goes from 2115 to 2125. So 100 years from now. However, it talks about events that happened in 40 years, 50 years, 60 years that led to that world. It paints a very beautiful picture about a world, our world in 100 years with cities, event, characters, relationship, but also it have a flashback on an event that led to that world. It is a very fascinating story. When I saw the first version, I was captivated. I'm like, I need to share this with everybody I know.
That's really powerful to understand that AI can develop these concepts of what is the relationship like between two individuals or an individual and an event or the ripple effects of an event and how it's influenced our future. And then at the same time, tell a story reflecting backwards in this imagined future. So I think that is a creative way of use case of how AI can tell a story.
Yeah, so we did have to work with the engine. The way I would describe it is you have a 10 years old you send to Disney World and he comes back to tell you the stories. And he tell you, and we jumped onto this beautiful ride and we're like, well, hold on, can you give me more details about this event or that event? So what we've done, the AI will come back with a story, but there's so many open ends to it. It doesn't think like human. It give you lots of details sometimes and lots of fascinating interaction, but we weren't understanding what's happening. So we'll go back and we'll upload the same story, but we'll ask question of it. It's like, you're telling us there's 4 cities. Can you give us more details about those cities? And then it comes back with a new world and new ideas, new characters. We wrote nothing of the story. This is the first fully imagined, fully written, and illustrated by an AI engine, which is, I really believe there's a lot of story out there that people are using AI to help them develop ideas or write idea based on their own storyline. In here, we're using probability and prediction, that the AI engine is predicting the future and then writing the details and the event that might happen. And I would call that a science fiction story.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I have a lot of questions about that, but I want to focus a little bit more right now on the AI engine itself. So, what AI engine do you use, and what information are you providing it with it?
Okay, so I touch base on that one. We do have a platform, and the platform have AI skills. Every skill you see out there, or every engine, leverage tons of skills. We've done that, and within that platform, we have access to ChatGPT 4. We have access to other tools from Google, Microsoft, and other AI. There's a lot of skills come out from China. Our platform is a cloud platform and have access to all of that. We build the algorithm to go and ask question to a different platform. If there's a vision recognition, that will be included. The platform is using everything, a lot of ChatGPT, a lot of Lexar for imaging, and I can name 20, but we are using every skill out there. It's becoming kind of a headquarter who's using other skills to build up a better story. It's kind of a upper level from the fragmented skill of AI that exists today.
And are there right now peers in graphic generated novels that are AI led? Are you the first? What can you tell me about that? And how does your product or how does your story stand out among its peers?
For sure. So a Reuters writer wrote a story about AI generated novels in January. I actually reached out to him and we have multiple meetings. But what he was talking about, somebody who couldn't write but have idea for children book and give the command to the AI engine to write the children book. This is, in a way, using AI as a tool. It's like using a car to get from a place to another faster than walking. What we're doing here, we're giving AI tons of information. We're giving AI tons of information. We're asking it to imagine events and then write the story. I challenge that, and I'm going to go to the Guinness World Record because I really believe we're writing the first fully imagined, articulated, written, and illustrated by an AI engine. Now, I reach out to the Reuters writer. His name is Gregory, and I will reach out again. I'm happy to sit down with him, show him how our engine work and how our story will be differentiated from people who's using AI as a tool in the process of creating a story.
Well, I think this is going to change content production and publishing in a material way. Wow, now using AI tools to generate the story. But I think we talked a little bit about it earlier. Talk to me a little bit about IP protection or copyright, because if anyone can use these tools to generate a story, who's really the author here?
Well, anybody can use the tools available like ChatGPT and others out there, but our tool is proprietary. We have a central command center that use all the tools, and it is an AI engine, right? I don't think anybody will be able to use the same tool we have. That being said, copyrights are for individuals, and this is the only delay of publishing this novel. We know that this work is incredible, and we want to make sure it's protected as a entity of work. We are going to include the human element, meaning me and my team will be a co-author, just because we need to protect it as a copyright. But that being said, this is fully imagined, illustrated, and written by AI. We are the creator of the AI tool. Nobody owns this tool except us. But in terms of the out there, I think copyright will evolve because every AI written paper, people are feeding that AI with some information. So you do have part of that process. I really don't want to dive into that because it's not my world, for
Right.
sure.
Well, I think we talked about it, saying that you're holding back on publishing the novel until you get all the pieces ready. But do we have an expectation of when the novel will be available to the public?
Yes. So we have the novel ready. There's some editing have to be done and some legal matter to deal with, but we are going to publish this novel on May 15. We have a website for the novel. It is the name of the novel, The End of Mankind. This name was created by the AI engine. It's kind of a scary, but it really tells a beautiful story. Uh, May 15, anybody can go and buy it. Now, we are only creating printed copies, no digital copies,
Okay.
because I want people to take this novel and have a look at the work, the artwork, the illustration in hand. Paper kind of create that bridge between an AI written story to a human consumption of it. So there's no digital copy of it, only paper copies.
So, would you say for those who are really excited about this emerging industry and emerging content, that this might be a limited edition, first
Uh,
release?
so what we've done, we created a limited edition 100 copies. So the first 100 copies will have numbers from 001 to 099. And those will be printed and they will include material of additional material, additional stories that we didn't feel it's included in this story. Uh, we'll include additional artwork because you have to understand the AI engine give us a massive story, and our job is to trim it down to make it
Mm-hmm.
concise for somebody to read. So the limited edition will be 100 copies, but it will have additional material. It will be factory sealed, and I really believe, given that we think this is the first fully imagined, written, and illustrated AI novel, it is going to become an item of collection.
That is very cool, and I've seen some of the images, and they're breathtaking. It's a
Thank you.
beautiful, beautiful visual piece of art.
Well, thank you.
Is there a way that we can learn a little bit more about this project?
Yeah. So my team created a website, endofmankind.net, and we have a storyboard. We added a few little information, but in the next week we're gonna have a full storyboard about the cities exist, some relations, some characters. So you can go to the website and read a bit more about the novel in the storyboard.
And what is the ultimate goal of this series? Is this a one-off? Is this going to be multiple stories? Is this a series? Tell us about the evolution that you have planned for this.
It started with a one story, but there's characters that they are very interesting. And when we ask about them, the AI engine came with a totally different stories. Now I really believe it's a series. It's a wise tale series. This is based on our history. It's predicted on for our future, and the name is the end of mankind. Uh, it's a story tells us about what might happen and how we are going to move forward. Uh, it feels a bit depressing at some point. It feels very exciting at some point. The technology is great. The evolution is great. There's a lot of human behavior. But I want to warn everybody who read it. It's not going to be written by a human. It thinks differently. I had to read it 20 times to understand some of the connection. The more I read it, the more I fall in love with it. It is extremely intelligent way of telling the event and the story.
That's very exciting. If we want to support this project, how can people reach out and support it?
Uh, I mean, support on the website. Go and check the storyboard on the website. Pre-order a copy now. This is a full team running, trying to create the story. It's a really great story. We want to make sure it comes to end consumer with the best quality. If you want to support it, go to the website, check it out. If you feel you want to be one of the first to buy the limited edition, that will be a great support for us. I actually got a few emails from people in Dubai asking to buy the 001, the first copy of the novel. The price is astronomical. I don't want to even mention it. And I am working with that individual. We want to understand the demand for it, but before you understand that, you want to understand what people interest in this story. Uh, After reading it, after my team read it, we believe it's going to be a great story. Uh, the follow-up stories is creating a series and creating a world that could be our world in 100 years, but for now, for what our culture exists, it feels very different. But that being said, you can go by yourself to the storyboard on the website and decide for yourself.
Wow, That's really exciting, right? To become from starting from a Hyperion Cloud AI shop and leveraging all the tools that AI has and trying to imagine where you're going to go with the business to focusing on content and publishing and generative AI to tell stories. It's very, very exciting, and I see that there's going to be great demand and support for this.
Yeah, you know what? It was a pet project. It was a side project. It feel like I've never asked to be part of it. It asked me to be part of it. It feel really the opposite way. It started as a pet project. Somebody challenged us to come up with something. But the more we worked on it, the more we felt this is really cool. This
Who do
is
you think the
something.
audience is for this? I can imagine young adults who love graphic novels to dive into it and trying to understand character backstories. I can imagine technology enthusiasts who really want to understand the way things work. I can imagine content producers trying to figure out this is great ways of using technology and tools to build something greater than what we have right now. But you're the creative force behind this. Tell me what you think who the audience is, and where they might take it from here.
Uh, some of the event that this novel and the AI engine predict, it's gonna happen. Anybody who wanna read about the future of humanity
Mm-hmm.
will be the audience for this. Anybody who love art, digital art, illustration, anybody who love cool characters, anybody who would love to read a science fiction story is the audience for this one here. I really believe anybody young who wanna kind of hear a wise tale of what could happen to our species if we don't wisen up is the audience for this one here. Some of the event that this engine gave us and the details around it, it scares me because it feels like something happened in the past and it could happen again. And it's not all good. Some of it are great. You know, there's lots of great characters, but there's lots of bad events that happen. It is, as the title says, the end of mankind, meaning it is a story about struggle and survival of humankind.
Well, I hope we have more than 100 years and we have opportunities to fix that. I think one of the interesting things about how we develop this story is the inputs that we put in. We tend to tell about the notable parts of history. We talk about the discoveries and inventions, but also the disease and political outcomes. We don't often talk about the times of peace and the boring times. So I feel like the inputs are almost sometimes biased about what we can expect in the future if we only talk about the notable parts in history. How do you think about balancing that out about the calm times and the notable times?
I'm 100% in agreement with you because when you look at event, it's always a catastrophe or a major event. Peacetime have less stories. But if you think about it, it was those events that shaped our modern life. First World War, Second World War shaped our modern time, not the peace between them. So it does pick up on those events because they have a bigger weight into our existence and the way it shapes us. And we noted that about it, but that is humanity. That's us as a species. The major event, the major war, the major diseases is what created the next phases. So uh, I don't know how to balance it out. I really don't because in a way they become major event and they are written in history because they created the impact they did.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I agree with you. They are always the negative. They are always the event that is unfavorable for us as a human. Um, we are still working on a few final details about it. May 15, it will be published. Everybody can read it and give their own opinion and tells if they believe the engine did a great job of predicting how our future. They can look also right now at some of the artwork online and they can give their feedback about how this being shaped.
As this is a the reach of this novel will go around the globe. Is this novel or the story being able to be told in multiple languages? Would the content, the generative AI that produce it, can be reproduced in English, French, Arabic?
I believe so. We can. We are going to only keep it at English now because ultimately most of the information we give it is in English.
Mm-hmm.
We can translate it to other language, but sometimes you have to understand each culture have their own sources of information and that kind of shape the culture, right? We live in the bubble of English language culture, right? And that's how we fed it. Everybody who worked on it speak English and we used everything in English language for it to build up these stories.
But there's something also universal about it because I was mentioning before the images are breathtaking. they take you down to a story, and I think it'll be very interesting as you continue to build this story about using the continuity and consistency of the likeness of these characters. They're introducing a female character, an old character, a young character, and see how they behave in different images or, as their story develops. And that transcends language, and I'm very interested to see how the model continues with this likeness and put them into future stories.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that might be something we should consider. One thing I really want to do after we finish publishing all the series is to see if we can make it into the silver screen. That will be a beautiful story to tell because it is science fiction, and this engine imagine a lot of details. Maybe a director or an artist can transfer it to the silver screen. That will be something I'll be interested in. You have to understand, never work on something you're not interested in. Right now, this is the interest where that's gelling us and combining us, me and my team. I think the next step will be let's move it to the silver screen. I do care about what people think about it. This is written by AI. It's not going to read like a human story. But from what I'm telling you, and the more I read it, the more details emerge from it as incredible. So I want to get people's reaction when we publish it, and then hopefully move it to the silver screen.
That's great. That's exactly where I was going to go with the next question. What kind of outreach are you looking for or interested in receiving? What kind of engagement, what kind of audience feedback do you want to receive here? I'm curious that you might and what you might do with that.
I want people to read it and give honest review, what they think about it, comparing it to other novels they read and other science fiction, and take it from there. Every time we re-upload the story to the engine and ask for more details, the story gets better, and it gives us more details. That being said, very intelligent engine, and it's giving us a very dynamic story, character that they develop over, the story. It's nothing I've read before. I'm very optimistic about people's reaction. I think people will love it. I think it's created a world that I fell in love with, and I'm a science fiction enthusiast, so I feel like a lot of people will be in the same place. But I care more about the critical voice, about what people think. That would be also good to hear.
Well, I think you're going to have two audiences. You're going to have more than two audiences. You're going to have those that really care about the story and the investment of these characters and their journey, where they've come from and where they're going, and the world that it's been, but also how this world was created. And I'd love to spend a little bit of time asking you more about the process about how it was created. We talked about how we're using a host number of AI services to develop this for imagery, for language processing, for content and storyboard creation. Can you talk to us? Is there an AI that chooses the AIs to run this story?
Yeah. So there is like the central algorithm that manage the skills. Mm-hmm. This is kind of the AI command center. And it's kind of evaluating answer from different AI skills and deciding itself what should we pick up, right? Even with imaging, even with all of that. This is our proprietary technology, and we built it over years, tons of line of code, tons of skills. So it will be very hard for me to say how it works because we teach it to think and it decide, right? And use algorithm to decide. So sometimes we start with a point, it come back with a result, but we never taught it this result. It went into through its own algorithm of choosing and deciding what will be the path it takes. And we love that about it. That's why it's artificial intelligence. It is thinking on its own.
I think, to me, this has been a tremendous interview. I'm very excited about the future of the end of mankind, what the audience thinks about it, but your exciting offers that are coming out from around the world. And I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in today and continue to check it out for more information.
Awesome. Eric, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. All right.
Best of luck.